All right. Party people in the place to be, vandals, and everybody else out there just lurking in the darkness. This is a brand new episode of How'd We Get Here? And oh man, this is a pretty exciting one. We've got some pretty prolific characters in both the prose novel and comic book game joining us tonight. They're gonna share out with us their wisdom and like their kind of newness to comics in a certain way. So we're going to go ahead and let them introduce themselves. How are you guys doing this evening?
Good. How are you?
Very
We're
good.
great.
Thanks
So-
for having us.
So yeah, we got Tom. I should ask you up there. How do we actually pronounce your name? I'm hooked on phonics, man. So
It's Sniegoski.
Sniegoski.
Sniegoski. It's not as hard as it looks. It's much scarier than it looks.
and it's pretty interesting. Like I kind of subconsciously, but like you've been around in my comic sphere for a very long time. I mean, since high school. I remember when Punisher Purgatory came out. So when I got a hold of you and like I asked you if you could send me some stuff, and you actually sent me like legitimate like physical copies. You sent me a copy of Punisher Purgatory. I was floored because I was just like, oh my god, I remember this. And yeah,
I hated it. I hated this book.
Did you? Well,
No. You. That was you saying. I hate it.
no, I actually quite enjoyed it. I thought it was silly, of course, but it was definitely something Marvel would do. You know what I mean? Of course, they're like, hey, kids like this Spawn guy. Why don't you make Punisher kind of like the Spawn guy that kids like?
Well, you know what? It's what was funny about that. It was that it was very specific idea from Joe Quesada and Jimmy Palmiotti because they created the whole Marvel Knights thing. They were very specific. They were like, let's do something to shake up the Punisher audience because they've just been doing the same thing over and over again. How about a supernatural take? And that's when Chris and I said, all right, let's see what we can do with that. And brought in like supernatural elements, Damian Hellstrom, and all that stuff into the Punisher universe. And I honestly thought it was a really kind of a cool idea, especially since the old idea had kind of run its course. So it was a nice direction, a nice different direction to go in. Especially if Bertie Wrightson. Hello, working with Bertie Wrightson was like insane.
So that's how it kind of worked. They gave you the idea and then kind of let you come up with a pitch for what they had.
They wanted us to do something, but at the same time I think that they were kind of leaning in the supernatural direction, and we were Chris and I were kind of known for our supernatural take on things. So I think they were kind of like, all right, where would you go? And so we said some stuff, Quesada said some stuff, Palmiotti said some stuff, and we kind of landed on the whole, resurrected, Frank Castle killing himself and then coming back from the dead as an angelic vigilante or something like that. So, yeah, they kind of like everybody kind of threw something into the pot.
Well, getting to reread it after these years, I think that the major downfall of the book is it wasn't given a proper chance to breathe. You know? What I mean?
Yeah, because we only had two miniseries. We did the original one, and then we did the one with Wolverine, and that in and of itself was really funny because it was kind of like, all right, we want to do a sequel, but we want this artist to do it who has a kind of like the manga style with Wolverine, and it was kind of like, and here are the things he likes to draw. So kind of like, oh, we have to kind of concoct our story to go with what he enjoys drawing. Okay. Yeah. So,
and that's why that one took kind of more of a sci-fi angle with
okay. Yep. And at that time, Chris Claremont was kind of like shepherding a lot of the Marvel titles at that point. And so that's why we added the whole Morlocks thing with the the underground mutant thing. And there was a lot of cooks in the pie.
Yeah, kind of hear that a bit about Marvel editorial.
Yeah, right? Just editorial in general. I mean, especially with major characters like Punisher and Batman and Superman and stuff. Everybody has to say in what they want. So,
yeah. And I think I think the whole comic industry was coming out of that lull as well, right? Where Marvel went through their bankruptcy, so they were kind of trying to shake things up, try new things, because like you said, the old song and dance just wasn't working anymore. So.
Yeah, well, and again, Marvel Knights kind of almost like reinvigorated Marvel, which was really kind of cool to be part of that.
Yeah.
Well, kind of also talking about shaking stuff up and I'm trying something new. Like I want to talk about this book you guys put out earlier this year, Soul Taker, which man, like out of the stuff you sent me, this was my favorite. I really love this book. I like the stuff that Mad Cave's been letting people put out, and I'm really happy with your guys' entry from that, because it's got this a different type of narrative, you know what I mean? It's like legit about an older person. It's from their point of view, but like it's still just so fresh and fun, you know what I mean? And like how did the pitch for that kind of go? How did you guys get that?
Go, Jeannine. This is Jeannine's baby.
It is. That was my first real comic. Well, my first creator-owned comic. And Tom and I had been talking about our elderly moms, and his mom is still here. She's 97. God bless her. And my mom passed a few years ago, but we were talking about our moms and how they were getting older and living in assisted living and things like that. And one day he had been to visit with her, and I said, "Oh, how's your mom doing?" "How was your mom?" And he said, "Oh, she's still old." And I said, "Well, wouldn't it be funny if you went there and she was like 10 years younger? And every time you went to visit her, she was 10 years younger." And that's kind of where the story came from. It was just this woman who had lived for a really long time and was able to make herself younger by taking the essence from other people. And where better to do that than a retirement community? And the pitch was just kind of born out of that. And we brought it to Mark Irwin at Mad Cave, and he was like, "Yeah, let's do it." And that was our first creator-owned foray. That was fun.
And your guys' take on vampirism is kind of really fresh and neat too. I mean, like there's a bit of vampirism, but it's not the mean-spirited one. And I don't think that it actually dulls any of the life that they borrow, that Amara and her people actually take, does it?
No, it's kind of like it's kind of like they just kind of take what you wouldn't even notice.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost like you might be a little tired after like they take a little bit of your life force, but
yeah. Well, I got an overreaching, like, kind of like only take what you need, like not just them as people taking from the life essence, but just as a species, how we overconsume, we deplete all our resources instead of just taking what we need so that everything can live harmoniously together. We're so indulgent that we take more till it's gone, and then so that's what I got from that part of the story. Kind of like a commentary on that with people in general.
Well, and also the fact that they've probably been living amongst humanity for far longer than anybody even realized because of that. They just you wouldn't notice the fact that they're feeding off of you because they're just they're not doing any harm. So
especially being a nomadic kind of people, they move around, like it's kind of a necessity when you live that long, right? So that people don't see pictures throughout generations of like, hey, this person's the classic, hey, wait a minute, this picture's from 50 years ago and it looks that's my great grandmother. Yeah, sure it is.
And also, like, she's just a great character because even though, like, all the things that have befell her at the beginning of the story, she's still willing to give us another try and help us by working with the company, by giving, like, the samples every so often until they decide that, like
they want more.
Greedy. Yeah, they want more. So Awakens, Amara's, and yeah, dude, that whole first issue was so fun. Like, it rivaled good television in my opinion. Like it kind of right there was. I don't really have an example, but like because I can't think of something that actually has this type of narrative about like except for kind of Cocoon, but like that's not a fair comparison, really. but it's got almost that type of energy, but at the same time, it's very youthful. Like I'm not saying that this is just a book for older people to get into either.
Like
You
us.
know what I mean? Yeah. Well, I mean, Joe and I ain't spring chickens. You know what I mean? Like we're closer to Amara's age than most of the X-Men. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, she's a fun character. We like her.
Yeah, and I like the message too. You know, it's like you can get older, but you can still be young at heart. You know, so
yeah.
The 6 issues for it, but do you have anything more like that planned? Because like it's kind of got me really excited to see what else you guys have to tell, you know, in your creator owned.
Oh, we have all kinds of stuff.
I know.
Most of the stuff we can't talk about.
I know because it hasn't come out yet, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's funny too because a lot of we have a novella that's coming out in April. And that one, the main character in that is also an older woman who's been around for like centuries, or actually thousands of years, from millennia.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, we realize that we have like a lot of older female characters. We're like, what is wrong with us? Like we have mommy fixations or something. I don't know.
Well, I don't think it's a bad thing because you know, it's everyone talks about representation, right? And I think that's another aspect of it because I think a lot of the focus is on, especially for females, is young, attractive females, like in Hollywood, this and that. And you don't get that really strong female older role model. You see it a little more nowadays, but I mean,
yeah, it's like Helen Mirren, maybe.
Yeah, like 15, 20 years ago, you didn't see it as much. And I think now you're starting to see it more and more because more people like Jeannine are getting into the game and bringing their voice to it, and you know, showing you another side of just media, like entertainment as a whole. And you know, and a lot of these people that we grew up with too are getting older, and you know, they can still hold their own, right?
Yeah.
Like action stars and stuff like that. I mean, so.
Well, what's interesting is when I've been writing comics and books for far longer than I care to mention. I'm starting to work with Jeannine brought a perspective that I never had before because I didn't work with a female writer. I worked with guys, and a lot of my editors were guys. So she brought another approach. She, you know, her observations are different than my observations. So
a whole new perspective.
Yeah. Her eye is different than my eyes. So that was like a really fun thing to kind of bring to the table when we started writing comics and some books and stuff like that, is that she looks at things differently than I do. So I think that actually adds a spice to the work that wouldn't be there if I'd have a different spice.
Yeah. Well, it just lends like more authenticity to the characters, right? Because
it's just a different,
you get the perspectives from different viewpoints, so you can really hit on a character like more accurately, like instead of just assuming maybe this is the way it is, and you know, you don't have an actual insight. Like, but now if you working with someone else, like you guys are working together, you can bounce like, oh, how would you approach this, or vice versa, and just bouncing it off each other.
Well, there were even times when we would be writing something and I would say, all right, and then she's going to do this, and Jeannine would go, I don't think she'd do that. And I'd be like, oh, for Christ's sakes, what? what do you want now?
It was fun. It was a novelty, but now I think the
now I'm done. Yeah, time for you to go home.
One of the projects that we were working on too deals with a mom and her son, and we had a discussion, not a huge discussion one time, about something that the mother says to the son, and I'm like, no mother would say that to her child. Like, I have kids, no mom would say that. Like, that's like guilt. Like, you wouldn't do that to your kid. And he's like, oh, okay, all right, okay, she won't say that. I'm like, no, she can't say that.
Whose idea was it to write the dog into the story?
Tom's.
I have a friend.
That's if I had to put money down. Yeah, I saw some pictures online
I
with
have a
your
friend
dog.
from,
So
yeah.
I had to put 20 down. I would have put it on you.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at almost all my work, you like, I'd say like 85 to 90% of it, there is a dog somewhere in the story. So.
I have to say, it was one of my favorite characters in the book because I'm
He's
a
cool.
pet person. So
He's cool.
Like when she leaves to go to the party, like picking her hat with the purse and then when she leaves, he just with the little snark there. Like I totally like if you have a dog or whatever, you're like yeah for sure. That's
Tom's dog helps him pick his outfits every day.
He helped me with this.
Yeah, did good today.
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah,
and he's colorblind. That's a.
So how did you two meet up? Just wondering, because I know that Jeannine has history as an educator, right?
Yeah, I taught 7th grade English for 15 years. That was like my account being a mom. So about 5.5 years ago, I was doing a new unit with my students, and we needed an author. We were doing a project with the whole 7th grade, the English classes, and I needed an author who had books turned into movies. And so I was stuck in a windowless room with my cohort of teachers. There were 4 of us together. And we're like, oh, who could we get? I wonder if there are any local authors. And I said to my teacher friends, after we had lots of donuts and lots of sugar and too much coffee, I used to go to high school with a guy who's an author, and I know that he's had 3 of his books turned into movies. And so I emailed Tom out of the blue after almost like 40 years. We hadn't spoken since like the, early 80s, after I graduated from high school. And I emailed him and I was like, hey, if you remember me, I'm a teacher here. We're doing a unit with our students. We need an author to come to talk to our kids. And so he was like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. So he came, he talked to my kids, talked to 300 7th graders, and took like an entire day out of his schedule. And we just kept on talking. And we started like texting each other and talking on the phone and talking about different things. And then before I knew it, we were writing a novel during the pandemic, and we were writing comics together. And then about 1.5 years later, I think, I retired from teaching and I was done. And I started writing with Tom full time. And that was like a little over 5 years ago.
And she's still alive.
I know.
She has survived the experience.
Yeah. So it's been crazy. Like at my age, like I didn't think that I had another career in me. I thought teaching was going to be the last one. But yeah, here I am.
And what was the first stuff in comics that you got into? It was the Vampirella stuff, right, with Tom?
Yeah, it was Vampirella. Nikki Barucci at Dynamite asked Tom if he wanted to write a Valentine's Day special for Vampirella in 2021. Excuse me. And Tom said, hey, why don't you want to try writing comics with me? And I'm like, okay, sure, why not? Because at this point, I'm just like, yeah, just say yes. It doesn't, just say yes and see what happens. And so we wrote the Vampirella Valentine's Day special. And then I think very soon after that, within a few months, we had the Vampyverse.
Was it Vampyverse or was it Panther?
No, Panther was after. I think we did Vampyverse. And then
yeah, okay.
Yeah. And that's how I kind of fell ass backwards into writing comics. There she is.
With Dark Reflections after Vampyverse.
Yeah, that was fun.
That was one of the ones you sent me. It was pretty fun. I liked it. I familiar with Vampirella, never got too into her. Like I think back in the day, I had some of the black and white stuff Harris re-released from the '60s that Jose, I forget his name, Drew. Just the really beautiful black and white stuff.
Jose Gonzalez.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that stuff's gorgeous. Yeah, that's beautiful.
So that's mostly what I knew of her before you sent me the books, and yeah, man, that's pretty fun. Like, did you ever kind of picture yourself writing those kind of stories though for that particular looking character? You know what I mean? It's just kind of funny. We've had some like edgy like rocker dudes on the show that I could see maybe working on Vebra, but then I meet you two, and you guys are the actual.
Yeah, we're kind of the
juxtaposition.
No, like this. Honest to God, sometimes I take a step back and I look at the things that we've accomplished together, and that I've done a couple of things on my own. But I think the comic stuff is mostly the surprise for me, because I read comics when I was in high school. Like my favorite was like Archie comics when I was really young. But then I kind of got away from it and did other things. And I came back to comics, I think, when I started writing Vampirella again. And now it's like one of my favorite. They were like one of my favorite things. So I feel bad for people who want to get into comics and want to break into comics and write comics and draw comics. And I kind of fell ass backwards into it. I feel really bad about that sometimes, but.
Well, I feel bad about it.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. It just like happened, and I kind of happened on it. But
if you couldn't do it, I wouldn't kick. You wouldn't be doing it if you couldn't do it.
That's true. Yeah, but
I would have said thank you for your time, ma'am.
Well, I mean, like, in the climate that we live in nowadays, man, all you kind of need is to have the money to get it made. You know what I mean? We talk to so many Kickstarter kids that literally, like, they have an idea, they have enough money to pay for their artist, like, they have a comic book now. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of ways to actually become a cartoonist or whatever. You know what I mean? That wasn't available. So I wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't fault you for like the way you got into comic books. So, it's a pretty natural way, you know what I mean? Like,
everybody has a different story.
There's no right or wrong way, I don't think. I mean,
I'm just fortunate. I feel very fortunate.
But at the same time, you have to have the talent.
Yeah.
If she didn't have the talent to do it,
I think what it comes down to, if you make something and people want to read it, they want it, then. I mean, that's really what it comes down to, right? I mean, how you got there and everything. I mean, sure, it can be a nice story, or, you know, everyone has a different story, but I mean, in the end, is there a readership there for it, you know?
Right.
Do you have something as awesome as Soul Taker under your belt, you know what I mean? Which you do, you know what I mean?
Right. And it's your idea. You came up with that idea.
So. That was mine. I originally thought of it as just a short story. At that point, I don't think we were even writing comics together yet. Because I think we talked about the idea. The idea kind of germinated really early on when Tom and I, right before the pandemic hit, actually, and shutdown happened. And we toyed with that idea for about, I think, 1.5 years or 2 years or something.
Was it that long?
It was a while, yeah. It was a while. But But it was
I think I saw the trade is coming out in March, I believe, right?
Yeah, the trade for the first 6. Yep.
Yeah. And you left it open ended, so there's definitely
way open.
Yeah. So there's definitely a continuation there. If
hope. I mean, like, I hope, like, Black Cave's got a pretty good spotlight on him, and this is a good book. I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to read this, so hopefully we'll be seeing more of Amara soon.
Yeah, I hope so. She's awesome. We love her.
Yeah.
I mean, even the bad guys are pretty funny, like the Sacred Order dude and like his little helper. Yeah, like you want to like. You like them, but you also really want to see them get their comeuppance. You know what I mean? They got that.
I'm gonna a little bit of a spoiler here, so if people don't want to hear it, just mute for about 30 seconds. I kind of feel bad for him because he never got his sandwich.
You
know, freaking guy. That's really, he's becoming a sandwich guy, and he just didn't get to, like, that's it. This is it. after this, I'm going to enjoy sandwich, retire right off into the sunset. And he never, poor guy.
Never get his Cuban.
Incredible.
No. That's funny that you zero in on that because that's like one of my favorite moments.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah. I got it. It's humorous and it's kind of bleakness,
It's kind of me.
Yeah. Kind of lends a little human element, like where maybe he's not such a bad person deep down, like
maybe even monsters have a moment of humanity.
Yeah, exactly. A little bit still there. Like maybe you can stop, like the villain gets redemption,
Honestly, I think the best villains are the most human villains. So the ones that you find yourself relating to in some way. That's the best villains.
Yeah.
That's true.
You guys also got something else coming up in the pipeline that's pretty big. You guys are looking at being part of this whole Hanna-Barbera launch at Dynamite.
Oh, that's just me.
Yeah.
Oh, is that just you?
I'm not on that
Yeah,
train.
that's me. She can't touch you don't touch the Herculoids. That's my baby. That's totally my baby. Yeah, that's super exciting. Next week. First issue hits next week.
Next week. Okay. Got you.
The 19th.
Yes.
Look at those covers. Woo!
Yeah, all kinds, man.
Yeah.
Some
Dynamite's really rolling with the whole Hanna-Barbera line, eh?
Yeah.
They're really committing to it. So
yeah,
a lot of books, a lot of fun books coming out from that.
Well, I don't know what it is about the Herculoids. The Herculoids just has there's this fan base that you would never imagine existing for these characters. It's wild. I can remember in my earliest days of working in the industry always asking editors, who has the Herculoids license? Do you know who has the Herculoids license?
Because it's changed, eh? DC had it for a little while.
DC's had it for the longest because I think it was separate. I think it was just like Warner Brothers for the longest time, and then DC acquired it, and they had it for the longest amount of time, and did some stuff. They did like Future Quest with I think Jeff Parker wrote a book called Future Quest that had Johnny Quest and Herculoids and Mytor and all that stuff in it. I think that was the last time we saw it from DC. And then DC just decided they didn't want to do anything with them anymore. And that's when Dynamite picked up the license. Well, they got Space Ghost first. And I remember seeing that they got Space Ghost and sending Nick Barucci, the president of Dynamite, an email that said, if you don't give me Herculoids, I will be so bullshit at you. you will not, you cannot, my wrath will be great. So then I got the call. He was like, hey, if you want, we got the Herculoids. If you want it, you can have it. So, yeah.
Awesome.
So who do you have as artists on that?
Craig Russo.
Okay.
Who DC artist, did a lot of like Batman Beyond, and he worked with me on Young Hellboy.
Okay,
yeah. So that's how I knew he would be the guy. I mean, I'd worked with him, and I knew what he could do. He could give us that. It was like that really cool, like nostalgic spin. Like it would kind of like have the look of the show, but also take it in a different direction. And that's exactly what he's doing, and it's fabulous. Yeah, it's really, really nice.
Yeah, that Hellboy was a fun book as well. I think a great all ages book, right?
Yeah, that was the whole point. You know, that was the whole point of that. Yeah, I really enjoyed that too.
Yeah, you've worked on a few different books, in the Magnolaverse.
Yeah. Mike handpicked me for Young Hellboy. He was like, "This is crazy. This is crazy. You have to do it." All right, I'll do it.
Yeah.
You also did one of the first, if not the first, actual BPRD story with Hollow Earth, right?
Yeah, Chris Golden and I. It was Chris Golden and I think the artist was Ryan Sook on that the very first BPRD miniseries. Yeah, that was us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, like you've been kind of involved with a lot of really neat stuff with him. Also a novel that I found out about today that I really want to get, Grim Death and Billy the electrocuted prisoner. Like,
Yeah, you electrocuted criminal, Bill Death and Bill Electrocuted Criminal. And what the cool thing about that is that the company that's doing our series, the one that Jeannine was talking about earlier, called Nera. I don't think you mentioned the title. They're doing Nera, but they're also doing a new edition of Grim Death. So there's a new version of that out there right now. But Jeannine and I and Mike are writing new Grim Death novels to follow the Grim Death book. So there will be future Grim Death adventures by Jeannine and I and Mike.
Yeah.
For Bad Hand Books. That's the name of the company, Bad Hand Books. So
Great.
that's super exciting. That's really exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
That's great.
And you've been kind of lucky with your friends throughout your career, right? You also got to be one of the few people that also worked on Bone with Jeff Smith.
I did. That was another one of those. Really? You want me to do what?
Right, the whole prequel, right? It was 4 books long. Yeah.
I got a call out of the blue from Jeff's wife that said, "Do you want to write the prequel to Bone?" And I was like, "Excuse me."
That's cool.
Yeah, it was really cool, really unexpected. But it's incredibly complimentary, but terrifying at the same time.
Oh, definitely, especially with the fan base as big as Bones.
Yeah. It's kind of like, well, same with the Mignola stuff. It's kind of like you're being asked to do something with these characters that are being held in such high esteem that it's kind of like, all right, I have to bring my A+ game, never mind an A game. I got to go an A+ game to make this stuff acceptable to everybody who loves this universe, loves these characters. So yeah, that's hopefully I rose to the occasion and didn't disappoint too many people.
I think this is the first time we've had a writing team on the show, ain't Johnny?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. So
cool.
what are the, like, let's say, because often it's a little less common, right? Usually you got the writer, the artist.
Yeah.
It's a little less common to have a writing team.
Yeah.
Like for a comic. Maybe for TV shows, or you have the writing room, or you have a bunch of people. But on a comic, it's a little less common. So, what are the benefits, like, and the drawbacks, maybe, of, like, because then you have to relay the information to your artist, right?
Yeah.
So to make sure things don't get lost in, like, the telephone game, or how does that work? The dynamics of having a collaboration with amongst writers for a comic.
All right, Jeannine, you start.
Well. For me, I knew nothing about writing comics. So obviously having Tom there to show me the ropes has been invaluable. I wouldn't be able to do this if not for him. I think now, like, we just finished another project. It's a graphic novel, and that's all we can say. But I've gotten to the point now where, like, I can do layouts on my own. And so I feel like I've grown in that respect a little bit. And the first time I did it, he had to come in and, like, fix a few things. But I think by the time I finished doing, like, that last chapter that I did, he had to fix or tweak very little. And so it kind of, like, started to sink in.
Okay.
So for me, it's been, like, the collaboration part has been amazing because I've learned a new craft. I've learned a new skill. In addition to novel writing, in addition to short story writing, I've learned, like, another medium in storytelling. So for me, that's been invaluable and really fun. I mean, going from teaching where it was 5 classes, same thing every day, and kind of just telling my students and teaching them about what other people had created. Now I get to create it on my own, and that's really cool. And I never thought I could do it, but I guess I can. So that's
how was that first time you got an email with that first page of something you wrote for a comic?
Oh, the artwork? Yeah.
Like that, as a writer for a comic, right? When you're a writer, you don't draw your own thing. You get that first page, right? How was that for you? That first experience of seeing
that? was crazy, and it would have been from Daniel Main on the Vampirella. Daniel, right?
No, he didn't draw that.
Who did that one?
That was the Valentine's Day special. He didn't draw the Valentine. I forget who did the Valentine special. He didn't do the Valentine special. No. Well, matter of fact, I bought her the page. The first page. The first page that she scripted, that she felt like she actually did something.
Yeah.
Is right behind her on the wall there.
Yeah, so that's a great memento to have.
Yeah. I get it all.
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah, that was it's amazing to see. It's amazing to see the things come out of our heads and be on paper, like to see it physically, like we know what it looks like up here, but to see it on paper, and when you have a great artist, like all of the artists that we've worked with are amazing, so it's very cool.
Yeah, that's the beauty of a really good relationship with your artist, is that you give them the best that you can give them, and then they take that and they give you even better. That's the beauty of like Daniel Main on the Vampyverse and Dark Reflections, and Craig Rousseau on the Herculoids stuff. I mean, they're like taking your thoughts and bringing it to life.
Yeah.
The imagery that you're telling them about, describing to them when you're laying out the pages and stuff like that. Yeah, there's nothing better than a great artist writer relationship. I mean, that's worth all the money in the world.
Yeah, we've been really fortunate with the people.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, we've had a lot of really great people.
Yeah.
What's the one major thing you've learned from Tom and your journey to being a comic writer?
Don't argue with Tom.
I've only been talking to Jeannine briefly. I don't think that's gonna fly.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. I'm glad you noticed this.
I get the impression that she holds her own.
When we first started working together, it was during the pandemic. It was during shutdown. My classes were online, so I was only really teaching about half the day. We started writing a novel together. And I remember saying to him specifically when we first started, like, I've never done this before. Like, I've taught novels forever, but have never written my own novel, obviously. And I remember saying to him, well, I would defer to you because you know, like, better than I do, obviously. And I think that lasted probably, a couple of months.
No, 25 minutes.
I was arguing. I was like, yeah, no, I don't think that's right. But that's a sign of a good teacher, that you instill confidence in your students. So.
But not a good enough teacher that you learn to be quiet and let me do what I need what I need to do.
No, you want students who have critical thinking skills. So,
but I should back off.
Honestly, I think the most important thing that Thomas taught me when creating things, that nothing is off the table. Like, anything that you think is like ridiculous or silly or far-fetched or just, I don't know, like, say it anyway. And sometimes it lands in a script and sometimes it doesn't, but it might lead you to something else. So yeah, I'm getting better at not second guessing myself before I say something, and then kind of holding everything in.
You'd be amazed how many times one of us would say, this is really stupid, but and that stupid thing turns into the answer to the question that you are currently, the problem that you're currently having with your story. The stupid thing just morphs into the thing that you need. Yeah. So nothing, never hold it back. Always bring it out and kind of shake it out and give it a good look, because
because sometimes, that stupid thing, you'll be like, you get a good laugh about it and you're like, Now this is too good. Like we've been laughing about this for over how and you keep coming back to us. You're like, there's something there, right?
Something there, and half the time it's still as stupid as it was when it originally came out. It's just been massaged a little bit to like be less stupid, but work in the context of the storyline that you constructed. So
yeah.
It's all right to be silly sometimes.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, that's all we do.
That's 90% of our day being stupid.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
So, like since you guys are authors and stuff, do you guys ever get option to have your stuff adapted? And if so, like how would you feel about that? Like would you be welcome to see how other people would take your writing and try
like
to
movie, like movie wise and stuff?
Movie wise, or maybe like say like somebody options your Fallen book, you know what I mean, to become a graphic novel series, but like some kid wants to write it, you know, instead of just letting you adapt.
I mean, I wouldn't let them.
You wouldn't?
I mean, if somebody came to me and said, I want to take your novel, The Fallen, or my Remy Chandler books, or something like that, and I want to do comics, I'd be like, I do comics. Why would I let you do it? I mean, that's like, I mean, So things like that, I would probably want to hold on to that myself because that's what I do. It's one of the things that I do, and I think I do it pretty well. Movies and TV and all that stuff, that is a little bit different. I mean, if I had the opportunity to take a crack at a script or something like that, I would do it. But 99% of the time, the people in Hollywood don't want me involved at all.
Yeah.
It's almost like, we got this guy. He wrote Grizzly Adams. We want him to do this. He's perfect for this material. All right. But so that I have less say on.
Yeah. But you did write the scripts for the Grim Death audio drama.
Oh yeah, the Grim Death and Bill the Electrocuted Criminal, they've turned into an audio drama that's going to air sometime, I think, next year. And I wrote all the scripts for that. I adapted the book and the scripts. That was great. That was a really fun experience.
That was cool.
And the audio dramas like that, where do you find that? Like Spotify, any kind of streaming audio music, or
like Apple and stuff like that. It hasn't been released. They haven't set up a release schedule on it yet, but it's done. And they're putting like finishing touches on stuff. So.
Would that be available on like Audible as well, like the books as well? Yeah,
maybe.
I'm wondering.
Like the company that's producing is called Echoverse.
Yeah,
and I think they're using all the outlets
because I think Marvel
is like an old radio play. Is that?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, really?
I think Marvel's.
Yeah, Marvel is
their toe in it. Yeah, they have a few things out that I've seen kind of
Marvel
the similar idea.
And DC has done it with Batman. They've done a bunch of Batman stuff too. But this is really cool. This is the main, like the actors that they got were like, really? You got that guy? That guy's awesome. Yeah.
Could you drop a few names or is it hush hush?
Oh God. No, I can tell you.
We can say, right?
Yeah, we can say.
Corey Michael Smith, who was just in the SNL movie.
Playing Chevy Chase.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Okay, yeah.
He's Grim Death. Yeah. He was also the Riddler in
Gotham. Yes.
Yeah. So he's Grim Death. Yeah.
Merritt Weaver plays the main female lead.
Okay. She was from
Nurse Jackie, and she was in
Walking Dead.
Yeah. And I can never remember Tim's name.
Oh God. Yeah, I never. He's fantastic. What the hell is his name?
He was in Madam's Secretary. He played the president's chief of staff, and I can't remember his name.
I got to complete. He's one of those guys that if you saw him, you'd go, "Oh, that guy."
He's done a lot of.
He's like Bill. He plays does a lot of villains and stuff like that. Yeah, he plays the butler Pym, and he's fantastic.
Okay.
Yeah, we actually got
Oh,
people.
man.
We actually got people. Like these are like,
Yeah, that's fun. That's
so
exciting.
yeah, it's really
It's
exciting
really neat.
because we get to watch them do the recording.
Do the voice
Yeah.
work.
All,
Yeah.
it was all on the screen, so I'm like, oh, there's that guy. Oh my
I
God.
know.
Yeah, that
We're
was
all
really
waiting. It was crazy. It was fun.
Yeah, that's cool.
that was really fun.
Is that like the first time you've worked on one of those?
Yeah.
So
I didn't
that's like
know-
a whole new experience for you.
Didn't know what I was doing, but at the same time, I think they thought I did. So it was something.
It was a
Very
learning
cool.
experience. But now you have that skill, so that's good.
Yeah. And it wasn't, it really, I mean, it was challenging, but at the same time, there was kind of an exciting funness to it
Yeah.
as well. Like taking my book and trying to imagine it in a different way. Because it was all like audio. So it's kind of like, all right, I have to enhance. Yeah. So these characters are talking, but other things like what kind of noise is going on in the background, what kind of, so it was very much like I had to kind of like refocus my attention on very specific things. So when somebody's sitting there listening to it, they'll be getting everything that they need to kind of visualize.
And it's a good format for it too. It's a pulp noir.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yep. So we're hoping that the new stuff that Jeannine and I do and Mike will get the same treatment.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So, man, it must be quite the juggling act. You have a lot of stuff going on. So just to keep on top of it in a schedule and how, like, that must be something. That must be a job all on its own, aside from having to write and
yeah. Like it's one of those things when you wake up in the morning, you go, what am I supposed to be doing today?
Mm-hmm.
Which thing is due first?
Yeah.
And then like throw cons into the mix.
Yeah, we did.
Because Johnny used one of the picks from you guys at a con together.
Yeah.
And so how was that your first experience at a con?
Oh,
that's awesome. I love them. They're so much fun.
Yeah.
They're so much fun. Yeah. And it's nice. The first time, I can't remember which one was the first convention I went to. Was it Wicked Con?
I think it was Wicked in Boston. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like to meet like all of the other comic people. And honestly, I've never met such like a welcoming bunch of people. Everybody's just been so nice and they're all so welcoming. And I'm like nobody and I've done nothing. And they're like, oh, it's great you're here. They're so sweet. And I feel like I've made like a lot of new friends, which is really nice, especially at this time in my life. Like,
yeah.
So yeah, I love convention season.
Yeah.
It's so much fun. And I'm always saying to Tom, oh, let's go here. Let's go there. He's like, yeah, you need to calm down.
I've got too much to do. I can't do that.
I know.
So you make sure you hit the big ones, the local ones.
Yeah. She's actually done San Diego.
San Diego, nice. How'd you like that?
That was amazing.
Yeah.
The first day that we got there, so we got there like on a Tuesday, hung around. Wednesday was like opening night. We went to that, walked around for a couple of hours. And then Thursday was like the first full day. So Tom and I we had our spouses with us. They went off to do some sightseeing or whatever. And we went to the convention like 10:30 in the morning. And I think by like 2:30 or 3 o'clock, I was like overwhelmed and like overstimulated. And I'm like, I think I have to get out of here. Like we were just walking. We weren't tabling or anything.
Yeah.
And I was just like overwhelmed. And I'm like, I have to leave. I'm like getting really anxious and really like, yeah. And he's like, all right, fine, go ahead.
Yeah.
But the next day I went back and it was better. I think I just kind of had to like get used to the rhythm of the whole thing. And now like we went again. That was 2 years ago. We went again last year and we're set to go again this year in July. Cool. So I'm like, bring it.
San Diego is huge. How many people do they fit into that con?
130,000.
130? That's a lot of people. That's a lot.
And they're saying that's 130 a day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they get the full amount every day.
Yeah.
And they run it 4 days now, right? It starts on
Yeah,
Thursday.
it's Wednesday night till Sunday.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But so much fun. It's so much fun.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I love it. Yeah.
So you said you weren't tabling the first time you went.
Yeah,
No, San Diego, we just kind of walk around and talk to people and have meetings.
San Diego's is a lot of like rubbing elbows. It's a lot of like meetings with editors and and stuff like that. So
networking and stuff like that. Yeah.
It's all networking. Same with New York. We don't usually table at New York either.
Okay.
We usually just kind of go and see people and talk and stuff like that. Yeah, we do the little shows is when we table.
If you had to compare the two, the New York to the San Diego, what are the major differences between the two? Or are they very much the same?
I think New York is way more crowded.
Yeah.
Crowded, yeah.
And I think that's because
more crowded.
Because of the space.
Yeah.
I think New York's space is more condensed.
Okay.
Whereas San Diego's a little more spread out. It's still ridiculously crowded, but it's more spread out and
Yeah, because we had a panel San Diego my first year, and it was in like the pavilion, which was like up the staircase, across the bridge, in another building. It was like a 20-minute walk just to get there. But I feel like everything in New York is kind of right there.
Yeah, really? Kind of like it's downstairs to the left.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It's like going to school, kind of. Yeah.
Trying
to get from shop all the way over to English class.
I know.
Not be late.
So you said you're working on some stuff you can't talk about. Do you know when you'll be announcing these things? Do you have kind of an idea when you'll be announcing them? Or
is 2025 going to be a good year for you guys? Is what he's asking.
I think so. Yeah, we got a lot of stuff that we're supposed to be working on.
That we are working on. Slowly, but we are.
Okay.
But one of the projects that we actually just finished is a graphic novel, and that's probably going to be announced, I think, by September of this year or July of this year.
Right.
And it's supposed to come out in 2026, I think.
Okay, so most of the stuff that you're working on now will be 2026 release.
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just so people that just let them know, like, keep your ear out. So it'll be a lot of it will be for early 2026. Gotcha.
Yeah. You guys got any more creator owned stuff? I mean, like, I know you can't tell us like for sure, but like, is there more creator owned?
We're actually like right now deciding what we want to focus on as our next push. We have a couple of different ideas that we're trying to like decide which one is going to be the one that we really kind of focus on.
Yeah, and try to make a pitch somewhere.
Yeah,
cool.
But nothing's too crazy.
No. Oh God, no.
So when you do the pitches like that, do you do like a short, like 4 or 5 pages? Do you get an artist and do a page, or do you just do a script pitch? My most success that I've had with my pitches have been like an outline of what your miniseries or graphic novel is going to be. So it's kind of like a brief version of your story, showing that you have a beginning, middle, and end. Yeah.
Character breakdowns, like who are these people? Usually with an illustration to go.
Like a character design, exactly.
Designs, and I love doing like a little 6 or 8 page story that's kind of like almost like an introduction to what you're doing,
like an ash can.
Yeah, so people can kind of see what the art would look like and what the characters look like when they're moving and stuff like that. That's actually, we've been really successful with that.
We did the Soul Taker.
We did it with Soul Taker, and we did it with the project that we can't talk about. We did that too.
Is there any chance that you guys maybe ever releasing that Soul Taker ash can as like a fan thing for a con or something like that? That'd be really neat to get a.
You know what? We asked about that, and they were like, "Oh, because it was a different artist."
Oh, got you. Yeah,
they got all twitchy about that, and they were like, "Oh, no,
legal logistics and all that.
Yeah,
yeah.
but we were all for that. We were like, how cool would that be? Because it's a nice little introduction to the character and the character's world that could like literally leads right into issue 1.
Yeah.
But they got all twitchy about it, so we kind of like backed off.
Yeah.
So I know people love the process stuff and all that. So
we love talking about the process because the process is so nuts.
But I mean, you'll definitely have a little bit in the trade, I'm assuming. Because sometimes in the trade, okay.
No, they were really like, because the artist is different, they really didn't want. Yeah, they didn't want that to be in there at all, and I was disappointed. I would really like it to be in there.
Really good.
Yeah,
that's kind of one of the to help sell a trade, right? They often like you have a little bit of extras, like the process, this and that, some scripts.
Yeah, like
a page or two of scripts, and then you go for like pencils, inks to finish. You know, showing the process.
This is stuff you didn't see. That's what gets me to buy a trade.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of like when you get like back when you used to get DVDs, you know, like
with the feature
features, the outtakes, the blooper, you know, you get all this extra stuff that adds so much context to the movie you're watching or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's what I love about when you get the trades. You get it often, not all the time, but often you get the process stuff, which is really interesting.
I love like the character designs, like showing how the character took form and stuff. Yeah, that stuff is fascinating to me.
Yeah. And it's fun for the casual reader too. That just loves comics for reading, or someone who loves comics and aspire to maybe make some someday is great for them as well.
Yeah.
Right. Like want to see how the sausage is made.
Yeah, exactly. I was just about to say that. People love seeing how the sausage is made.
They love the sausage.
Except when we're talking about actual sausage. Nobody needs to see that.
You know.
So okay, so it's anyway. So March, you're getting the trade for Soul Takers.
Yes.
What was you have the exact date?
I don't think they gave us.
I didn't see it. I just read March and I didn't jot down if. I don't know if I saw March 25th. For some reason, I have 25th in my head. But
maybe I don't remember an exact day. I just remember March thinking, oh, it's coming out March. So.
Yeah.
So it was on month, top. Well, it was on one. No, that was the next issue. Sorry, because sometimes you had the cover for the next issue in the back, and it tells you the date. But that was for the single issues. I don't think that was for the trade.
I'm pretty sure it was March though.
Yeah,
because I just saw it on an order sheet.
Yeah,
like a lunar order sheet.
Did you order some?
Yeah. I
highly recommend everybody to order it, man. It's a really fun book. Like if you like stuff like Santa Clarita Diet, you know what I mean? Like this isn't as silly and wacky, but it's got that heart to it, you know what I mean? It's got that warmth and familiar the family feel to it. At least I got it, you know what I mean? And that's the closest thing I could really kind of recommend compare it to in my
Speaking of that, who would you cast as the
as Amara?
Yeah. Tilda. Yeah. She's the person that we kind of thought of. The first person that we thought of when we were thinking about the character. We're like, oh, you know, who's that actress? Oh, she's very androgynous. Tilda Swinton. Yeah, she's the one.
I like her.
Yeah.
She's a great actress. She's fantastic.
Yeah.
I can just imagine.
I always say, like, if you're gonna do John Constantine, like as a woman, you'd get her to do John Constantine.
Actually, that's true. Yeah.
I don't know if she can pull off the Cockney. But I mean, if she could, then I'd love to see her play John Constantine.
That'd be pretty funny.
That'd be fun.
Well, she was in Constantine.
Yeah.
She was. She played the angel.
She played Gabriel.
Yeah. She was great in that. She's great in everything.
She was really creepy as Gabriel.
Yeah,
that was awesome. Yeah,
I mean, it wasn't really John Constantine, but I love that movie regardless.
I do too.
Yeah,
I love it for it. It doesn't. It's not. It's a movie version of a concept and an idea. It's not trying to be an exact copy.
Yeah, it's the personification of the big Hollywood version of it. You know what I mean? Like,
and honestly, I think it works on so many different levels that
I think it's garnered a love over the years because
they're making a sequel.
They're making a sequel, right?
They're doing a sequel. Yeah,
I think John Wick helped a lot with that. You know, put Keanu back in the spotlight a little. So,
oh yeah.
I mean, he's
fine. I'll take it.
Yeah, totally. And like, yeah, I'll take any more John Constantine too. Like, I liked pretty much all the adaptations we've had of the character. I liked Matt Ryan, like on the short TV show, he was good. And then I liked the lady that just played Joanna Constantine on the Sandman. She was wonderful too.
Yes, from Doctor Who. She was one of his companions. She was Matt Smith's companion.
Okay.
Yeah, she was great.
Good stuff. So before we've been on for an hour, so we don't like to keep people on too long because people have lives, and you guys, like you said, you got to get to work sometimes.
That's in the evening for you too.
Yeah,
you guys are.
So anything you guys want to, maybe you had in mind, like you want to plug or anything like that, we'll give you the opportunity before we
want to plug,
sign out.
We could plug the Soul Taker collection in March.
Nera, a Constance Evermore story that comes out in April from Bad Hand Books.
Okay.
And
Herculoids.
Yeah.
You said it's dropping next week, right? Herculoids?
Next week, Wednesday, the 19th. Yep. And Vampirella Dark Reflections, the collection. I believe the collection of that is coming out in March also.
March. Oh, so you have quite a few things dropping just in the next couple months.
Yeah,
and that's this one, right?
That's from Jeannine and I.
Cool. Love that cover. It's such a nice
Tula,
cover,
right?
Yeah. Yep. She's great.
Yeah,
does she just do the cover? Does she do any interiors or just the cover? Just the cover.
The interiors were by a guy named Daniel Main.
Okay.
Who's really good.
Yeah, they're actually really good interiors for a Dynamite book. Like, you never can tell with them, but like, all the books that Tom sent me actually all had very good art in it, so I was like pretty happy with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like the Panther stuff was really nice. Daniel did some stuff in the Panther book. Too.
Panther, how when was that released? The Panther. Was that in the last year or a couple of years ago?
I'd say year and a half.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was another spin-off out of Vampirella. That was another character from they asked us to kind of revamp a little bit. So that was fun. Panther was fun.
I like that. That was fun.
That was my introduction to her. So she is part of the Vampirella universe. So
yes. Yeah, she's from the Vampirella universe. Yeah.
Because she's kind of she'll remind you like Punk Mambo from Valiant, like similar type of character, like witchy-ish. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she wasn't a very nice lady. She was an Egyptian princess that did some very bad things and was cursed by the gods. So.
Oh, cool. Any events coming up? Spring is around the corner, so I know conventions are going to start ramping back up. Do you guys have anything planned?
What do we got?
We don't have anything confirmed yet. We'll be in San Diego. That's the only one that's actually confirmed, I think.
Well, we're going to be at Wicked, the one-day Wicked show in Boston.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys actually table there at the Boston one?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, because we were like, we can get in our cars and
bring you don't have to by plane. Yeah, bring all your books and everything by plane. Yeah,
we can
bring local hero treatment. Yeah,
man. When is that? When is the Wicked Boston? The Wicked convention?
Announced that. Was that like the
April?
Is it usually spring, summer, April? So it's usually spring.
It's a one-day show,
and it's free.
It's a free.
Okay.
It's free to get in this year. Yeah.
So it's more like. So that would be more like a comics, right?
Yes.
All comics, no celebrities.
Yes.
Those are the best ones.
Yep. Like I'll be there, Jeannine will be there, Craig Rousseau will be there. So nice. We're all like the local guys.
Cool. Good. I hope you guys have fun.
We will.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right on.
Cool, man. So yeah, so people go pick up Soul Takers will be coming out March.
And you could go get get all 6 issues too. You know what I mean?
Like the comics, the individual issues. Yeah.
And the Vampirella you said is coming out in April as well. The collection. So
you
can find that, or like Johnny said, you could always fish through some back bins there. You might be able to find some floppies if you want the floppies too. You know,
or you can find my Vampirellas from the '90s in the.
Go hunting for some back issues. That's right.
Go hunting for some Sniegoski.
You wrote her back in the Harris days, right?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, that's why I came back to write it for Dynamite. Is they said, "Hey, would you come back and write for us and do Vampirella?" And I was like, and then you can pick up where you left off at Harris. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. So my Vampirella run at Dynamite is a continuation of the Harris run.
Mm-hmm.
So it's everything that I was doing over at Harris, because I kind of revamped the character for Harris. So
cool.
Hell yeah.
Well, I just want to say thanks for coming on. It was a pleasure talking to you too.
Thank you.
Yeah,
it was really happy.
Really happy you reached out to us, man. Like, glad that got initiated. You know what I mean? Because like I was brand new to Blue Sky. Joe did something. We got us signed up to like a kit that introduced us to a bunch of new people. So I was like, hey, what's up? Anybody want to come and hang out? And like you were like one of the first, if not the first. And I was just like,
well, I think I just saw there was like, hey, we do a comic podcast. You want to be a guest? And I was kind of like, oh, I'll send some. I'll send some. What the hell? We got stuff to say.
And yeah, you actually sent physical copies, man. I got to give you so much props for that. You're like one of 3 people that's ever done that. So thank you very much, dude.
No problem at all. No problem at all. I didn't have any digital crap, so I said, all right, I got stuff in the office. I'll just send it.
It's very much appreciated, and thank you for being so rad when you come on, man.
No problem. Have us back. We'd love to come back.
Definitely. Yeah, when a couple more of you guys' things come out next year, you know what I mean? Maybe we can connect and definitely have you back on, because this was wonderful.
Yeah, that'd be really fun.
Yeah. We'll be back on the 18th. We're gonna have these guys as Mad Cave label mate on DB Andre. He's going to be on to talk about Crush Depth and Morningstar and some of his stuff that he's been coming out. So yeah, he's one of our up and coming favorite horror writers. So yeah, join us then.
Excellent.
See you guys later. Take it easy.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.